Stavros Halkias. He is a co-host on Cumtown, and he's also the Stavi Solves Your Problems on Twitch. Stavros.
That's right.
Thank you so much for doing this, man.
How we doing? Oh, thanks for having me, dude.
Dude, I've wanted to do this for a while. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
how you doing?
Pretty good, just kind of trying to stay busy in here, trying to get some stuff done. Every day's a struggle in quarantine, but I'm trying, baby.
How seriously are you still taking quarantine?
I was like crazy with it. Like I wasn't leaving for anything. I wasn't doing, I was wiping down groceries, wiping down takeout.
Same.
But, now I wasn't even going outside for a while. Now I'm taking walks, doing that, but it gets a little lax. I've had to double back to the sink and make sure I wash my hands once or twice after a stroll, but, I'm still trying to, I went to see my family in Baltimore because I've been here, with a roommate the whole time. So I took a drive down to Baltimore and, I'm getting out there a little bit more, but what are you going to do? The world's not going back to normal. The part of my life that I liked, I'm a stand-up comic, and that's basically that industry is just done for, I don't know, a year or two. I don't know. People are trying to do outside shows. People are trying, but it's not going to be the same. The best part of a stand-up show was 100 people in a packed basement meant for 40 people, super tight. Everyone's laughing. That is exactly how if you could design how to spread COVID, it's a stand-up comedy show. So it's not happening for a while, basically.
We're talking to somebody. I forget who. Sorry. But somebody about I feel bad for them. But they were going to try to do it on Zoom, basically.
Yeah.
Is there any way that could work?
No, man. That's the thing. I don't mean, a lot of my friends are trying, and God bless them. I get it. But to me, it's like, it doesn't even exist. You know what I mean?
How would you even see? Could you even set it up so you could see everybody, or would you? Yeah, would it be like this?
Yeah, most of the shows are like this. But one of my friends did a show in LA somewhere where they had huge wraparound screens and everyone's on Zoom, and you can kind of, there's a square everywhere, and that was the closest thing to, whatever. The analogy he used, it was like having sex. It was like being with a sex robot. It's not, it's not the real thing.
Not inspiring.
But it's the closest you can get. It's the real doll of stand-up
you
comedy.
click. You have to have you want to bother somebody in the crowd. You have to could you put yourself on camera, please?
Yeah.
Consult your living room or something.
Doing crowd work via FaceTime.
This is the type of guy. Where did he go?
Yeah. Sir, plug your router in, please. Could you unplug and plug it back in?
His connection's bad. I was going to criticize his relationship. It's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's the same bullshit, except over Zoom.
Totally. Can't even afford 5G. You could maybe get on them for that. But
so my mom let me watch Eddie Murphy Raw when I was 7 or 8 years old.
Yes.
Which I still am a fan of. It's crazy how tastes don't change. But she's also got, and I got this from her, where it doesn't make any sense because I'll watch that. I don't profanity, vulgarity, whatever, and then all of a sudden there'll be specific things. Particularly, I don't like bathroom stuff. Full stop. Yeah. But then I'll hear the name, and it's just Cumtown. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so there's that, and then I'm just curious because if my mom's listening, I know she's going to be well, that's disgusting.
Right, and it is.
And it is. And what did your family think?
Oh, it's the best. My mom is if you want to think about the overly supportive, just caricature of a cute little chubby Eastern European mom, will feed you. You come by the house to pick up, something, she's going to send you home with a plate. Just the sweetest woman on earth. Thought I was going to be one of those kids that goes to Harvard at 11, believes in her son so much. And she was, she's obviously proud that it was it kind of took off and I'm making my living off of it. And it was so funny to hear her. I overheard her once on the phone talking to a family friend, and she's like, "Oh, Stavros doing this radio show with his friends, and there's so many listeners, and people pay for it, and he doesn't have a day. And then I just hear her get cut off, and she goes, "What's it? It's called Cumtown." And it's just like, all the pride and everything just drops out of her voice.
Trades out of her.
But what are you gonna do? We broke the. I'm a first generation. I'm the firstborn in an immigrant family, so we broke that. Go to law school thing. Once that was over, once I wasn't gonna do the traditional thing, my mom, she just wanted to see that I was working hard and was happy, and so she's supportive. But just, we don't get too into the specifics. But
oh, she doesn't go. She doesn't just like. And then what they did was, what if AOC and Rashida Tlaib had the same show, but it was called Pussytown. Then they insulted each other just like the boys do. And then God. Nick made a joke about the SWAT sticker. I don't understand. But
no,
make money. Okay, she doesn't do that.
She doesn't know how to work a podcast, thank God. We just got her on Netflix, you know what I mean? So there's a technological barrier stopping her so she can stay, supportive, cute mom. She's come to my stand-up shows, and my material is pretty vulgar, so she's supportive there. She just likes to see me having a good time.
That's cool. Did you ever try to do the law school thing?
I was a paralegal in Baltimore very briefly. I actually was. It was like for an evil law firm. I didn't realize when I took the job.
What kind of
it was?
Evil?
It was like foreclosure law, right?
Oh. So that's not even cool.
No, there's nothing. Okay. There's nothing good. So what I did was I stopped. Evil. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna once I realized what my job was after training, I stopped working. I was like, I'm just gonna work on stand up, and I was like, I'll maybe get maybe a couple weeks. It'll take them to catch on to what I'm doing, and I just got to work there for 5 months. Without doing anything. I was taking 2-hour lunches. I was just my boss would they had the stats of what everyone's doing. And they were on a typical day, one of your coworkers might run through 40 files. We couldn't even tell how many files you did because your computer wasn't logged on enough during the day to even run the analytics. That's what they were when I was getting fired. That's what they told me.
How did that work for 5 months?
Dude, it was just one of those horrible bureaucracies where think about the kind of people that want to work for a law firm like that. They're the reverse cream of the crop. You know what I mean? Just the absolute shit of the crop. People that can't get. It was it was in Maryland, but you had to be Florida barred. It was people who couldn't work anywhere else. It was just the worst place you've ever, been. So they didn't understand how to do, how to manage people. And thank
I actually remember I don't normally say this much family stuff at all, but I remember being a teenager and there was an eviction process. And on one hand being obviously scared of these lawyers because they're getting us out of our home.
Of course.
Right. Yeah. But I remember just even as a teenager, I was only 14 or something, but I just saw the landlord's counsel walking with them around the property. And it was just that guy.
Yeah. Totally.
He's listening to a Journey CD.
Right. No, it's losers.
He's the reason we're not going to have a home.
Right. Oh,
kidding me?
It's even more disrespectful. It's at least let it be a shark. Right. This is the guy that had to go to law school in Bermuda. This is just kicking. This is just making it. Yeah.
I have a degree in the Cayman Islands from
no.
Families can't live here anymore.
Yeah, it was brutal, but that I really didn't do. I literally didn't do any. It was I felt like that was me being I was weaponizing laziness for the first time. I was mucking up I was gumming up the works of a horrible law firm by just because at the time I probably would have been a bad employee anywhere, but because I was so focused on stand up and I was out doing open mics all night, and I would commute to DC after work, an hour and a half, and then I would wake up. So I was I would have been a bad employee. Yeah, but it was when I was saving money to move to New York, so I was really in the zone. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I went to school for public policy, like undergrad, I went on a public policy scholarship, but that guy feels like, I don't even know who that guy, that 20-year-old me is just like a totally different person. I've been damaging my brain at, just getting fucked up at shows and doing psychedelics for the last 10 years and doing edibles. So that was, I was smart at some point, but I gave all that up to really, really be good at dick jokes.
I mean, dude, you're definitely contributing more doing that than like, I don't know, like lobbying for like the Maltese government to be able to like sell like passports to like heroin traffickers so they can get EU citizenship or something. I'm trying to, do you think you'll stay in New York, or is this like burning you out on New York?
No, man, if kind of the opposite. I think I realized like I really want to stay here. Like I think I realized the reason I moved here is because I love comedy. I love stand up. It's really, it's hard not to do it. It's hard, to, especially because you move here because it's the place with the most prestigious clubs, the most comedy. And
what are the most prestigious clubs right now?
I would say, the Stand, the Comedy Cellar, Gotham, New York Comedy Club. But also there's a lot, there's, before all this, there was a ton of just great independent shows. I ran one with, my podcast bros at Come On Everybody. There's a great show at just complete coincidence, by the way.
That's good stuff.
But there's just so much stage time, and it's the kind of place where if you are the best comic, if you're the best in this scene, you get to do stand-up comedy, 20 times a week, if you want to. And I was that kind of guy, which
far out.
Yeah, that was what I was
20 times
striving.
a week.
If you wanted to, sure. If you're working at the good clubs on the weekends and they're putting you on every show, and then you work the other clubs, and you just bounce around doing 15-minute spots places, and that's the ultimate goal. I wasn't quite there, but it's like, and I just realized like, yeah, you know what? I'm trying to stay. I'm going to see it through. I love it here, even without stand up. I guess this has kind of made me realize like, oh, I love this city, and maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if some of the shittiest people that live here moved back to Connecticut. You know what I mean? Like maybe that, like it sucks what the people that have to stay here are going through, but on some level, good riddance to the people that are like their dad's cottage. You know?
Do you think they're finally gone though, or are they going to come back?
I don't know. They'll come back when everything is super back to normal, and it's going to be horrible again. Like we're going to have just figured out a cool in like a year. There's going to be like a sweet spot, like 7 months from now, where it rocks to be here. Right. And then everybody whose dad paid for them to go to NYU is coming back. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what it made me. I wish he wasn't like this because I love these guys, but I listened to Michael Imperioli and Steve Sciarippa have a Sopranos podcast, and it's I love it because
of course
like Imperioli is like so thoughtful, but sometimes he's just really ridiculous, but mainly very thoughtful, and Sciarippa just constantly goes. And they were on I heard a clip of them on Rogan, and Sciarippa was just like, exactly the type of like, he's like, they had to change some of the stuff with the cops. Yeah. Stuff maybe they didn't have to change, just like, okay, dude, I don't even want to just be bacala for me.
Of course.
But he was like saying like, as soon as de Blasio became mayor, he like, he sold his place in Tribeca, and like he was anticipating, and I was just listening, and I was realizing that this man's terror is my like fantasy. I was listening, I was like, you actually think it's possible that like they might like reform the fucking police and these like assholes will leave this? Like, really? Like, yeah, because I'm pretty pessimistic, but you're giving me hope, Steve.
Yeah, he's like, all the chains are going to leave New York. It's going to be nothing but these dirty artists doing their own thing. Where am I going? I want to go to Chipotle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I moved to Vegas, and then I got back to New York, and I realized there was a Chipotle here. And that's what, they might not like him, but that's what Giuliani did.
Yeah,
And don't
he
get
made
me
it
wrong.
safe.
I mean, I like the pawn shops and whatnot, but
Right.
it was a different time.
Give me the M&M store any day. I shed a tear when the M&M store came to New York. We made it, honey.
Do
Yeah,
you
man.
listen to that podcast?
I'm waiting to do. I'm doing a full rewatch of The Sopranos over over quarantine, and I'm about to start season 6. For some reason, I just want to go fresh without listening, and then once I'm done the most recent rewatch, I will be listening to the whole thing for sure.
So I won't try to. Well, first of all, I want to invite you, if you're ever up for it, once a month for the patrons. Me and some people like Waz and Nando are gonna do. We're gonna do a Sopranos rewatch because
I love it.
I've watched the thing so many fucking times. Mike Racine too, if he'll come on. So
yeah.
if you ever want to do that, that would be fun to have you on.
Yeah, man, I'd love to.
I don't want to spoil the podcast, but they're just the dynamic of Sharippa being like, like really fun. I mean, he's great. He is like a big-hearted, really likable guy. But it's just like occasionally, like Imperioli will be like, "Well, remember that was a cutback to the first scene, and the clock said 4:15." And then Sharip was like, "Yeah, exactly." So then, big pussy's coming on. He's a big hard on.
Yeah, no,
he's like bulldoze.
Totally, they're a hilarious match because Imperioli is totally like an actor, first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And that's the beauty of The Sopranos. It's like it's half incredibly like classically trained actors who happen to be, to perfectly portray mobsters, and it's half guys that wish they were in the mafia. And Sharippa is totally one of those guys. He's like an old Vegas promoter. It's like Sharippa's the kind of guy who fast forwards through all the therapy scenes. You know what I mean? He's like,
no, he likes the therapy.
Oh, he likes the therapy.
He loves
scenes.
it.
Okay.
He loves it. But it is that kind of like so Tony's being a hard on, and Dr. Melfi, she gets it. She's she's got some fucking savvy to her that Imperioli would be like, well, that was the same time that he mentioned the dream in the last episode.
Right. Totally.
It's a lot of fun.
I love it. I can't wait. I honestly, I'm pacing myself on the Sopranos has to last me. I need Sopranos content constantly while we're locked down. So I'm pacing myself on that.
I'm amazed you haven't started yet. We actually found out that you listen to my friend Waz's show, Hoops Adjacent.
Yes,
which I love. Yeah. And so
I'm big. I didn't even realize Waz. I guess I was listening to the basketball stuff he's done, an old basketball podcast in a lot of incarnations it's gone through. They're now at The Athletic, but yeah, I've been a fan of his for a while, for sure. Just pure basketball. And then I realized later on that, I didn't realize how much our politics align, which is pretty cool.
Waz is the best.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's on this show all the time, and then we do the Woke Bros. But what do you think of how they're going to reopen basketball?
I think it's the closer we get to it. I mean, I didn't think it was a good idea to begin with, right? Like, I thought if they were going to bring basketball back, what they should have done was limit the amount of teams, gone straight to the playoffs. If you do anything, everyone recognizes that it's not ideal, but the whole goal is to get in and out as quickly as possible, finish the season so that there's a champion crown. But the goal is to, get safety, and then whatever money you can recoup, great. Unfortunately, clearly what the NBA has done is maximize the amount of money, which, I get on some level. I mean, it's a huge loss, whatever, but they're acting like it's, they just want to finish the season. They want to do this, but it's a little too, they've invited too many teams. There's too many people involved, and the location makes sense logistically, but Orange County, where Orlando is, their numbers just keep spiking. So I'm very, very hesitant about it. And, teams are shutting down their practice facilities. The Clippers had a staff member that tested positive, so they shut it down. The Bucks had a staff member. They shut it down. So some teams don't even have practice facilities in their home markets. Half the Brooklyn Nets have tested positive and aren't going to be in it. And so, they're playing with like 4 replacement players. And it's just, I thought they should have just done the best to do like a quick playoffs, give us something. But I'm very hesitant, and I'm scared it's going to be a disaster. I hope, knock on wood, it isn't. Knock on wood, nobody gets sick. Definitely nobody gets seriously sick. But I'm worried about it. I got to be honest.
All right, but so that's the worst case scenario, and I totally agree with you. And then just even way less important, but it matters if you follow the sport. Like, if you win this thing, that's a pretty big asterisk.
It is.
I mean,
yeah, there is an asterisk on it for sure. But I do think taking part. I mean, I'm of two minds of it, where it's like, I do think these players are making a real big sacrifice, and I do think in some ways it's like they are risking their health and maybe the health of their family for the game. I mean, that's sort of how I look at it. It's almost like they're doing a service, to the game to have a champion, because truly the safe thing here, if we're not thinking about money, we're not thinking about legacy, any of that stuff, is to cancel the season, especially in light of, just how much it's spreading in Florida and how much it doesn't seem like they have it under control. Seems to be that would be the, as how many players are testing positive. That would be the smart, especially a sport like basketball where there's no distancing. It's not baseball in theory. You know what I mean? You're breathing.
I get why
on the
like
guy.
Tennis is reopening. There's some sports,
golf.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It just my principle that applies like pretty much literally to, I can't think of a single situation where it doesn't apply, is never get in the way of somebody's check. So like,
right.
I guess, I mean, I don't know, like it's the player's choice and the union's involved with it, but it's like, how the fuck is that not going to spread?
Right. Absolutely. And it's the saddest. I mean, you talk about not getting in the way of anybody's check. The people that are the most harmed by this are are players who are on kind of like a shitty team that doesn't really have a chance. If your team didn't make there's 8 teams that didn't qualify, right? If you're on one of those 8 teams, you get paid the rest of your check no matter what. Now, all the teams that are in the play in Orlando, the remaining teams, if you're injured, you get paid your check no matter what. But if you decide to not play, you have the option not to play. But if you decide to not play, you don't get the rest of your check for that season. So those are the players that are like, look, I just don't want to do it for philosophical reasons. I'm scared of my family. One player's kid has a respiratory issue. He is not playing. He gets docked his check, which to me seems crazy.
Disgusting.
To me seems crazy that you put those players. Those players are the only ones that have to make a tough financial decision, really. And that's why I think they invited way too many teams. Half the Wizards aren't playing. Bradley Beal, their only good player, really, he's not playing. They already had a free agent who didn't want to risk injury. He's not playing. So it's just like the Wizards aren't playing. The Nets aren't. Half the Nets aren't playing. And then same thing with the Suns and the Spurs. Like the teams that don't really have a shot at winning, who are only in here to pad the regular season games and help the NBA fulfill their contracts with the local markets, with the local TV markets. Those teams are pretty screwed, honestly. I mean, I think the teams that were in the hunt in the playoffs, they were going to play regardless. I think these guys are just competitors and they want to do it, but I feel for those other guys, man.
Dude, you could do this too.
Yeah.
You could do Cumtown advice in sports.
Yeah.
100%.
I'd love to. Yeah.
That's flowing. Got to get you on. Get you on with Waz.
I'd love to, man. I do basketball podcasts too. Pod Don't Lie. I'm
seriously.
I'm podding all the time. Yeah.
You're podding all the time. I thought I was podding all the time. It's fucking exhausting.
Bro, I had to do something when quarantine started. I started streaming I do basically 6 shows a week. So just to keep my mind, just to not be with my own thoughts. I'm either streaming or I'm an edible deep and watching a samurai movie. And my brain is either on or off. I've been watching Lone Wolf, the Lone Wolf and Cub series, which are really good, man. I'm watching but this is the problem is I think of the things that I do to zone out, and I'm literally I do watch movies, and I'm watching documentaries about the IRA on YouTube. What's wrong? You can't do that, dude.
Nah, it's just what it is. It's just
you gotta watch the dumbest shit of all time.
I can't resist it. Well, no, I liked it, but But my barrier with dumb shit is like any other barrier. Like I love dumb shit if it's the right dumb shit. I mean, honestly, your podcast is probably some of the only dumb shit that I can connect to right now.
Exactly. That's high praise, by the way. Thank you.
Oh,
we want to be the best dumb shit there is.
The best. No, I think you and Racine are like the only. I like it. I like it. It's definitely. The thing. I won't go into details of it, but of course, the way I got flipped up on your show was somebody sent me the Jordan Peterson riff. And I was walking around just like taking my phone out. It was like a YouTube clip, just like
right.
And again.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna play that again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's hilarious. He's the best. Speedy recovery from being addicted to pills, Jordan. Yeah. And eating only beef. It's funny for a guy that only eats steak and does a bunch of pills. He sucks. You know, you'd think that guy's cooler. You think that's a guy? That's like some big fat guy on a grill eating ribeyes, just taking Vicodin. But no, it's some pseudo intellectual.
You know what he should be like is I watched on Netflix. This is actually, I don't know. It's not exactly dumb, but it's just bizarre. There's this movie called The Odessa Connection. Mm-hmm. It is actually insanely stupid. It's like this Russian mob associate who's literally named Tarzan.
Hell yeah.
Who goes to Tampa and basically like they're buying planes for the Cali cartel from the Soviet Union as it's collapsing. And you can just go to the Soviet Union and just literally like
just get planes.
They have a deal to buy a nuclear submarine for the cartel. Like that's just like, and it's there, it's documented. Like the FBI case handlers are there and everything. And Tarzan, you know, whatever, you know, sure, this dude like has done some very bad shit, but he is just like he is steaks and Vicodin.
Right.
He's just like everything is great. He's just like, and then I meet Michael and he has Maserati dealership and he's a good looking guy. Right. And he has an idea and we do. Right. And by the way, it's like, isn't that like the whole mind? Like that mindset's awesome. And is it like, that's where you should be going. Like exactly. There's all this like gnashing of teeth of like clean your room. It's like, no, just like be like Tarzan.
Totally. Do not read. First of all, stop reading.
Stop reading.
That guy can't read. There's something that's happened to his brain.
No, he writes children's books now.
That rocks.
No, he's got this crazy combination of being like an actual sociopath and then just like this childlike, and he's just like, and they rat on me, and you know, I was a heart.
Poor Tarzan. I love that.
Seriously.
That's definitely a European thing. Anybody with long hair. There's a couple Greek Tarzans that I know.
Do you know Tarzans growing up?
I knew a guy named they called him Tarzan because he had long hair and he cleaned he was a window cleaner, so he'd be climbing up and down. You know, he's high up there. That's hence the twofold name. He's swinging up by the buildings and he's got long hair. So yeah. Stop. I wonder what Tarzan's up to these days.
I think Tarzan is in Israel. He has immunity and he's writing children's books.
Good for him, man.
I'm telling you, dude, this documentary's crazy. They even have this like Cuban guy who I actually looked it up. He ended up getting arrested after the documentary came out, but he did shit like leave Miami and write postcards to the FBI agents that were surveilling him. Like, hey guys, I'm here. I'm drinking a pina colada, but I don't see you.
That's the best. The cat and mouse game.
Yes. Just like when you're sitting like, and you realize like, we're always just 12 because I
love it.
Awesome. Stop. I want it.
Yes.
We're going to take a break in a few minutes. Will you spend a little bit of the post game with us because we've got some advice questions for you.
Let's do some advice, baby.
Let's take one advice question though before we go to the post game, and I'll just start with this is a super earnest one.
Okay. I can do earnest.
All right. Does Stav have any strategies I should use as I start interviewing for teaching jobs?
Oh wow, teaching jobs. Yeah. Interesting. I actually I used to be a tutor in Baltimore City. I worked in an after-school program in Baltimore, and that job was when I realized like comedy is what it is, because it was like you had to choose between you can half-ass a job at, like, as a paralegal for a horrible company, right? But you can't half-ass teaching children. You know what I mean? I don't want somebody's future to be ruined because I was hungover, you know?
Right. There's more stakes.
I would say don't do open mics. I would say that's number one. Don't do open mic comedy. As a teacher though, I don't know, man. I think just being a teacher is enough do people even want to be teachers anymore? The fact that you're interviewing
this person,
right now,
I think this person does clearly want to be a teacher.
Right. So what I'm saying is your desire for being a teacher, that's got to put you at the top of the list already. Geez, bro, I haven't had a real job in so long. I would say, what are you asking me for, man? I don't have a tooth. I don't know. I don't know what this. I mean, I remember what cool teachers were like, but it's the same as interviewing in general. I would say, lie.
Right.
Just absolutely present the best version of yourself. The other thing is, if you're the person who wants to be a teacher, you're probably selfless. You're probably honest to a fault. Right. So fight that. Think in the interview, do a little bit of your inner Wall Street bro. You know what I mean? Have a little bit of that unearned confidence, because you're probably a very thoughtful person who's not used to that. So don't be afraid to lie about who you are for the betterment of those children that you're going to teach, because you're going to be a good teacher. So that's what I would say. I would say
lie. And I'm actually just related to that. I want to do just a follow-up that this might apply to everybody doing interviews. Every employer, to the point where it's like a joke in movies now, they're very used to, what's a flaw? Oh, I work too hard. I take the project too seriously, and sometimes blah, 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 blah. What is an actual good answer to, like, it's obviously still going to be a lie, of course, but it's just not going to be the same thing that they've heard thousands of times before.
A good answer to what? Yeah.
So, like, what's your weakness that isn't, my weakness is I work too hard. Right.
I would say, especially if you're a teacher, you're probably I think the answer to that is you gotta hit them with something technical. You know what I mean? Like something like, I really need to brush up on my long division, but I've taken online classes and I'm doing continuing education, but my strengths are in, this area, but I've already taken steps. You want to say a flaw and then tell them the steps that you've taken to rectify it already. Would be sort of my advice. I was great at interviewing. There was always like a 3-week period where whoever hired me, like at first they're like, I guess he's just kind of just getting a slow start. And then like about a month in, they're like, I've been duped. The guy I interviewed is never showing up. This is a different guy. So
you pulled out. You roll up with like a fake tooth?
Yeah.
Like, thank you. Looking forward to starting.
Yeah. Thanks, I was wearing a toupee.
Yeah.
It's just a suit, but it like tears off, and I'm wearing a tracksuit underneath. That's.
I wear a lot of Adidas. Is Adidas your favorite or Puma?
I'm definitely an Adidas guy. I like to switch it up with some Puma. But you know what? I'm agnostic when it comes to. I like all brands when it comes to the tracksuit.
That's a good. I like that. That's a message that more people in these political spheres need to hear. I like all brands.
My favorite thing is brands.
Yeah,
I think we can look to brands to save us. I don't know if you've seen, but Doritos they're gay now, so they did a color. So it's solved. Homophobia is over.
Yeah, Doritos took care of homophobia. McDonald's is covering racism.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Northrop Grumman. They got ladies designing bombs now. Yeah, so we're doing good, baby.
Do not worry. That Yemeni school bus bombing was designed by a woman.
I heard Blackwater wants some girl boss mercenaries too. So everything is coming up thanks to the brands.
Absolutely. The brands will save us. All right, brother. So we'll take a quick break. We'll get you back you'll spend a little bit in the post game. We got some more advice questions for you.
Sounds good.
Dude, I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody check out Cumtown. What else do you want to plug, Stavi?
Dude, yeah, the advice show that I've started on Twitch every Friday, 6:00, called Stavi Solves Your Problem. It's live on Twitch, and it's also on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/StaviBaby. And Stavi Baby on all the Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Awesome. But the advice show is what I'm really, really doing. Kind of pouring that's my quarantine project. So we'd love for people to check that out.
All right. Well, we'll do some of that in the post game. All right, everybody. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, David. Thank you, VJ Prashad. People got really fixated on you plugging your appearance as a debate with Noam Chomsky. We'll back to that in the post game. I'm a patron, patreon.com/TMBS. Get the whole thing. Spread the word. Be good to yourself. Be good to other people. Stay safe. Stay strong. Be well. Peace and love. See you in the post game in about 10 minutes, people.